Thanks for staying with us. Now for what's tipping the scales of justice. Jury deliberations are set to begin any minute now in the murder trial of Jermaine Bass. We're calling this one the bedtime murder trial, as his children are the victims. This is a live look in the courtroom. You can see us getting the camera positioned there. And there's Mr. Bass sitting there in a navy suit in between his lawyers. They say that someone else fired the gun that shot and killed his daughter Jayla and wounded his son. We know that the other person in the house was his wife, Shirley Bass, the children's mother. She was not called as a testifying witness. The defendant also declined to testify, which of course is his right. Let's listen to some highlights of the closing arguments together now.
After he murdered his daughter Jayla, and after he shot his son in the temple, that he left them there, walked all the way past 2 bathrooms into the master bedroom, and he opened up that silver drawer. He put the gun and the magazine inside, and he closed that dresser drawer before doing anything else.
There is absolutely no evidence that the state has presented where that gun was prior to the shooting, who loaded it, was the net. We know nothing. And they have to have evidence.
Closing arguments were good there. All right, so what's going to happen with Jermaine Bass? We really didn't get the answers to the story, right? It's how do the kids go from bedtime kisses and good night to a shooting, a bloodbath in that bedroom? Let me bring in our attorney guests, Michael J. Brown and John Phillips, on the program this morning to weigh in. Wasn't it weird they didn't call Shirley yesterday? Why do we think that was? Michael, to you first, please.
Julie, it was a little odd that they did not call the wife. But remember, I don't know if they need to. The wife would have, I don't know what the wife would have said, but we have to suspect she would not have helped the prosecution and maybe have attributed or contributed to this accidental death or discharge argument. But at the end of the day, you have an admission by the defendant made to law enforcement indicating he's the shooter. So I think that the prosecutor said, hey, we can rely on his admission and the fact that these 2 children were shot, and the accidental discharge theory, I think, really goes out the window when you use a common sense approach. So I think, and again, they're the best suited to determine their strategy because they know the case, but I think they were confident that they had enough without bringing in the wife.
I appreciate it, Michael. John, I want to ask you about Jermaine Bass, his decision not to testify. Your thoughts on that move?
It was the right move here. You know, obviously your audience knows the Fifth Amendment and his right not to self-incriminate, and it would have subjected him to too much scrutiny over what happened leading up to that because he wasn't in the house, and then the mix-up of stories, and ultimately how a bullet went right into his child's head. These facts are one of those cases that's just awful, and it hurts to even talk about.
Yeah, John, you're so right. You're so right. It's a horrible case. One thing's for sure, those kids didn't deserve that. His little boy still having problems from the gunshot wound to his head. We will see what happens when the jury's brought back any minute now. Thank you both. I always love having you 2 on this program. John Phillips, Michael J. Brown, have a wonderful day. Thank you for your time and your expertise. And that is all for this episode of